at least just put their uniform on, did good in college or whatever, but like showed up to every game, show up to every practice, whether they're required to or not, and they get to at least be on the team. And they're there, and they're getting a paycheck, and they're getting something, and they get to wear a football jersey. And that's better than what the guy who never played football but sat at home all day and yelled at the TV did. The guy who watches all the football games and gets angry and says, oh, if that was me, this is what I would have done. Even like who played little league sports when they were kids? The vast majority of us. Remember those little participation trophies you would get? And you just collect them on your shelf. You just have a ton of garbage participation trophies. And we all laugh at that now. We especially like to pick on the millennials and go, man, this participation trophy generation, man. Everybody thinks they deserve something because we're all through T-ball. They get a trophy every year just for showing up and not picking their nose the whole time. And while some of that may be true, I'm not certain. That participation trophy is still something you got. It's something you got because you did show up. Because even if you were terrible at T-ball, even if you could not hit the ball in T-ball, you at least showed up every time. And you would get there and you were excited. And they go, all right, man, thanks for showing up. Here's a participation trophy. So even just by just showing up and being bad at something, but just showing up and you were there and people saw your face for 20 games in a season, they're like, here, man, you were on this team. Here's your participation trophy. Get on out of here and we'll see you next year. And so like you at least still got something just from showing up. And that's a really core concept, showing up, and we'll get into that in a little bit. There's a lot of stuff I can't fit into this talk. This concept of how to talk to people and interacting and making people like you and getting to like people and getting to know people in a very short period of time has been talked about for decades and possibly centuries and possibly for as long as humanity has been around. And I was like, so much of this stuff I have to talk to has already been done before, and there's been books and books and books written on it. And I know that because I've read all these books. And so I said, oh, that's a good idea. I should put together like a real short required reading list for this course where it's like, what are the most core books that I've read that have the most densest amount of knowledge contained inside of these, where you can read it, glean a lot of information from it, and it's actionable information that you can take out into the field with you. And because that's the idea here, to be efficient, to get actionable things that you can go outside this door in a half hour or so and start using right away. And so I put together like the best, densest books for the greatest knowledge transfer in the shortest amount of time. And the first one on here is The Game. Who here's read The Game? It's a very popular book. I understand most of you don't want to raise your hand. The Game is a very controversial book. And it's on the outside, it's a book about pickup artistry. It's an autobiography about a group of men who went out learning what the most efficient course for picking up women was. Underneath that, what's actually really going on is they're learning human psychology, and they're learning how shallow human psychology really is, how not complex we really are as animals, and what the quickest way to get someone to like you is. And there's a ton of information in this book that isn't about picking up women, that is about making people of any gender like you. There's a whole section in this book where all he does is go around to bars trying to make friends with all of the men in the bar, just to practice his social skills. It's a great, crazy book, and I highly recommend that everyone of any gender read this book. Who knows this book? This is a classic. This book was written in, I think, 1934, 36, somewhere in the 30s. It was written as a textbook for door-to-door salespeople, because being a salesperson was the thing to do back in the 30s. It was before the internet. It was before telephones were in most houses, so telemarketing didn't even exist. If you had some irons that you were trying to get housewives to buy, you went door to door and rang a bell and knocked on a door and said, hi, I have some irons here. Would you like to see them? And so people were going to college for this profession of being a salesperson. That was a profession. It wasn't, I do sales for this company or that company. Well, I guess it was kind of the same. It was, you're a salesperson. And a professor at an Ivy League university was talking to his friend Dale Carnegie and saying, like, hey, we have a lot of kids coming to college who have a goal of being a salesperson. And they'll take a lot of philosophy courses and English courses. But we don't have any courses on how to sell. We don't have and it's because we can't find any textbooks on sales. Nobody's written something to teach people how to be salespeople with. And so Dale Carnegie, who was a very famous, or a very successful salesperson at the time, said, let me get to work on that. And so he wrote this as a textbook for sales. And the entire book literally teaches you how to win friends and influence people, because that's what sales is. Sales isn't knowing your product inside out and listing a bunch of technical aspects of that product to another person until they say, okay, I'll buy it. It's about getting that person to like you and be friendly with you and trust you, so that when you say, I, as a person that you trust, and to convey appropriate information to you, recommend that you buy this product because we're friends and I'm trying to help you out here. And that's the whole core of sales. Who does sales here? Salesman? Any sales? Couple? Sales engineering? Yeah, it's that. It's just making friends in a very short space of time so that they'll listen to you when you're like, all right, cool, now that we're friends, you got to buy this. If you go to any kind of client sales, or who's had salespeople come in from a vendor to your work and try and sell you whatever blinky box they got? Yeah. You know, which are the ones, generally, the ones you don't really like are the ones who come in for an hour and they list all their technical aspects, and we have this much RAM and it can blink this many times per second compared to our competitors. And then they go, do you want to buy it or not? And you're like, well, I don't know, let's get it in. Maybe, I don't know, we'll call you back. The salespeople you really like are the ones that come in and they'll spend a half hour just hanging out with you, getting to know you, talking to you about who you are as a person, how you ended up there. Those are the ones you're like, man, that guy was cool. We should get him back in here. We should talk to them again. It sounds like they got a good product. Even if they spent half the amount of time on their product as the guy who came in and just started dumping technical information on you. It's those guys who spend that real short amount of time getting to know you and getting to be friend with you that are the best salespeople. And that's what you're doing here. And that's what networking is. It's a short amount of time that you have with whoever you're running into, and you're trying to get them to like you as quickly as possible. If only because you got to move on to the next person, or if only because you're only here for 2 days. A lot of you live in the area. You're not even here all day. Maybe you're stopping in for 4 or 6 hours. And so this is absolutely critical information for that, because this teaches you exactly that, and it's really good. And it's written in a really cool old-timey language that we don't use anymore, and I really miss that. This is a great book. This is more advanced. Who knows what NLP is? NeuroLinguistic Programming. Big hacker topic. Big social engineering topic. If you're into SE, this is super critical social engineering reading right here. NLP is what it says: neuro, brain, linguistic, language, programming. Programming another person's brain just by using words, by speaking to them in a certain way, and it's based heavily on telling a story to someone. And maybe it's evolution, because this is how we've been sharing information and critical information from tribe to tribe to tribe to generation long before we have written language. We tell stories. We all know that. All the ancient civilizations have all the stories. We have all our religious texts that are predominantly stories. And because of that, we've evolved to really open our brains up and take in information and really connect with someone when they're telling us a story. And so NeuroLinguistic Programming is the science behind that, and how to make that work, how to make people really connect with you simply by telling them stories, how to convey information to somebody and make them care about it by telling a story instead of just telling them the information directly. It makes them open up to you, makes them trust you, and it makes them really take in what you're saying, and it makes them care about it, and it's working at the basest of the tiniest, most furthest back part of our human brain. It's something that's just ingrained into us, and it's a really, really cool trick, especially for social engineering. And then finally, this book, What Everybody is Saying. I've read a lot of books on body language, and body language is critical when you're talking to somebody to be able to determine if they're actually listening to you, if they give a crap what you're talking about. A lot of us, especially these conferences, when we're really passionate about something, we go to a conference and it's full of a bunch of other people who are really passionate about what we're talking about. We'll start talking, and we won't stop talking. And we think this person is really into what we're saying because they're, oh yeah, oh cool, yeah. But they're looking around, checking their phone, and we're not getting their body language and seeing that, like, this guy doesn't really care what I'm saying. And now, when somebody doesn't care what you're saying, you're just making them not like you because now you're that guy that won't shut up. And so body language is a really critical part of that because we are terrible at hiding our body language. So again, social engineering, if you're trying to get into that field, hiding your body language is a great thing to learn about. This is the best book on body language I have ever read. And I've read a lot, and a lot of them are garbage. But this one is just great, and it's really cool. It's a great reference. So like if you went out and you really turned somebody off and you couldn't figure out why, or if they were doing something weird with their body and you really weren't able to place it, you can check the book and see what was going wrong and go, oh, he was doing that, and it was because I was talking about this, and maybe that hit a bad spot with him, and I didn't recognize that. And then you know that for next time, and you can fix it. And all of these books are once again going back against that concept of this is a game that we all play, whether we like it or not, and it's real. And you can either walk around and just be like, oh, I'm not good at talking to people, and that's just me. And, some people can play the game. Like Johnny can play the game. He's really good at it. He talks to people. He knows how to dress. He's real friendly. Everyone likes him. Or you can learn to play it. And that's what we're doing here. We're learning to play this game. And it's a terrible, inconvenient truth. Give it up for Al Gore. So a bunch of smiles, and I'm like, all right, let's acknowledge that Al Gore is up there telling us an inconvenient truth. This is what I was talking about before, where your only choice is either you're going to play it or you're not going to play it. And if you're not going to play it, you have to accept that you're just going to be stuck somewhere that you're probably not happy with, not really moving ahead in your job, maybe only moving laterally across businesses when you get sick of the place you work at. Even the worst pro sports players make way more than any of us. And you all know this phrase, showing up is 80% of life. A lot of people don't know it's attributed to Woody Allen. Everybody thinks of it as kind of a condescending, one-off, smarmy Woody Allen kind of thing. Like, hey, 80% of life is just showing up. And a lot of people don't even look into it. Like, what does that mean? 80% of life is just showing up. He says it because you get a lot done by just being in the right place at the right time. And a lot of us don't have that happen to us because we're not in any place ever. We don't go anywhere. We don't show up to anything. It takes a lot of effort. We say, well, I go to ShowMeCon every year. And so maybe, I go to ShowMeCon and I hope something will click that year. I'll get I'll meet somebody who'll get me a job somewhere. It didn't happen this year. But that's cool. I'll keep working here and I'll keep building my skills, and maybe next year I'll meet someone at ShowMeCon. And that's the one thing you do. Or you just focus too intently on the industry and you go, well, we don't have any other InfoSec meetups or anything, so I just got to wait for ShowMeCon again. I can't afford to go to DEF CON, so we'll see, man, maybe next year. And it's because of all the things, it's so easy now in 2015 to not show up, to not leave our house, to not put pants on. Because, 100 years ago, 1915, not putting pants on and going outside meant you sat at home and you stared at something, the wall, or we didn't have television. You maybe read a book, but every day, forever, yeah, it was terrible. Now, we have Netflix. I mean, you could binge watch Orange is the New Black again. because it's a good show. You know, I want to watch that again. And now, next thing you know, you killed your entire weekend watching a show you've already seen twice. And talking to your friends about it on Facebook. And you've got video games and video games and video games. And I love video games. I'm a gamer. And it's real easy to not go outside when you're a gamer. And because you feel like you're going outside. Because you have all your friends online that you're talking to about gaming. And man, you have all this socializing you're doing. Man, I got so many friends. I got so many friends on World of Warcraft. And I'm not going to get into it. It's really hard for us to stop all of that instant gratification and put pants on and go outside. And there's wolves out there and bears. Like, I don't know. It's really hard for us to go, well, let's go do this instead when you have no guarantee of gratification. Like video games, you always have guarantee of gratification. Even when you get your ass kicked, you still had fun in video games. But man, when you go outside and get your ass kicked. It's not fun. But let me tell you. Nothing may happen. You may go to an event of any sort. How many of you gone to a wedding and it was just boring? Like you go to the reception, it's like you have dinner. DJ wasn't great. I didn't know anyone there, and people who were at my table were like really boring. We were into the same things. I don't know. And then it's like 10:30, and you're like, all right, you want to go? Let's get out of here. Like that happens, right? That's the problem. That's why we don't want to go outside. It's why we don't want to show up, because there's a very high risk that it's going to be stupid. When if you're at home, you're guaranteed you have at least one thing that you're not going to be upset that you spent your time on. And that's a lot of our problem. That's why we're degrading as a society, and that's why we're degrading as people who are just bad at showing up. It's really hard. Here's a lot of quotes from a favorite comic, John Mulaney, who really nails it. One of the things he says is, it's so much easier not to do things than it is to do them. That you would ever do anything at all is totally remarkable. It's easier to just not do stuff, right? So the fact that any of us ever do anything is just amazing. This is a great one. In terms of instant relief, canceling plans is like heroin. Who knows that feeling? Who knows that thing when you just don't feel like leaving the house and you're like, oh my God, you're talking to your wife or whoever, and you go, I don't feel like going. And she's like, I don't feel like going either. You want to just not go? Yeah, let's just not go. When you get that confirmation from the other person who's also like, yeah, let's just not go, then you're like, cool, now it's okay to not go. And when you send that text or call and you're like, yeah, you know what, stuff came up, we're not going to make it. I'm really sorry. We'll catch you next time though. All right, bye. You're like, oh, nothing to do. Just not having to do anything. Even if it was something that was potentially fun, you're just so relieved. If you ever ask an adult what they did over the weekend, and they say they didn't do anything, their faces light up. Like you ask a little kid, little kids are always like, man, we didn't do anything today. Today's boring. We didn't do anything. When you ask an adult who didn't do anything, like, what'd you do this weekend? They're like, we didn't do anything. Oh, it was amazing. No, we just stayed at home and I caught up on Netflix. Oh, it's the best. It's really hard to show up. And unfortunately, Woody Allen's right. 80% of life really is just showing up, because opportunities don't come at you from Netflix. New people with an opportunity for you for whatever thing don't walk in front of you and past your couch when you're watching TV. They don't wake you up and you're like, oh, I'll just go to bed early, I'm kind of tired. They don't wake you up at 9 like, hey, you like InfoSec? Do not take a job from that man. It seems like serendipity. Like, I just woke up and he was above me. And he said, do you like InfoSec? And I said, I love InfoSec. And he goes, have I got something for you? Don't take that job. And the point is, no, you're very limited to what opportunities you're going to have presented to you by hanging around your house. You have to put your pants on. You have to go outside. A lot of it really is right place at the right time. When you hear these people's stories about how they got the job they have because they got it through a dude that they met, and you're like, oh, he was in the right place at the right time. He didn't, this wasn't based on skills or anything. Like, he just happened to be there when that guy was there, and the conversation happened to turn to that, and they were like, whoa! And now he's making $2 million a year picking his nose. We'll all write that off as like, it was just right place at the right time, man. What are you going to do? What you're going to do is be at a lot of places at a lot of times. Because statistically, that greatly increases your chances of being in the right place at the right time. Because creepy bed job guy isn't real. And even if he was. So what does that mean, being in a lot of places? It's really easy. It just means saying yes to everything. When somebody says, hey, what are you doing on day X? You look at your calendar, and you go, keep a calendar. Write that down. I meet so many people who still don't keep a calendar, like a personal calendar. Why? Oh, because they don't do anything. I don't need a personal calendar for it. Like, calendars for work, like for meetings and boring garbage. Like, I don't want that in my personal life. I'm not at work. If you're not keeping a personal calendar, that's your number one clue that you are doing life wrong. That you are wasting away with things that aren't important, that aren't going to help you. Not that those things aren't fun. I'm a gamer. Gaming is not important, and gaming is not going to help me. I love doing it. I get irritated when I don't have enough time to do it. But as a gamer, I'm admitting like it's not important. I'm sorry. So it's just literally say yes to everything. So say you want to come to this thing on Thursday. As long as it's not like, hey, so I know when the guards change shifts at the bank, and I know you're broke, and I'm broke. What are you doing Thursday? Like, vet the situation. But if there's not a valid legal or safety reason to say no, say yes. And put it in your calendar. There's an old sales trick that we used in retail where it was you hand the product to the person you're talking to, where you're trying to sell it. You go, hey, you're trying to sell this hard drive. Yeah, so this is the best hard drive because it blinks the most. So highly recommended you get this one and check it out. You put it in their hands. People are far, far less likely to say, no, I don't want this way more expensive hard drive when it's already in their hands. There's a guilt thing that happens where we go, I don't want to tell this guy no. Because we don't like to tell people no. We don't like to turn people down. They get irritated when we tell them no. Nobody likes to be told no. Even if you just go up to somebody and go, hey, no. They get, like, what? What no? Why no? Like, try it outside. It's fun. There's going to be like fist fights in the hallway. Like, he told me no. Well, why? I don't know. So I hit him. So when we put that event in our calendar in our phone, and whose phone doesn't have a calendar here? Really? There's always one. Nobody has got like an ancient flip phone with no calendar. All right. When you put that in your phone, you're putting that you're turning the event into an object, and you're putting that object in your hand. You're putting a virtual object in your virtual calendar. Now you have this thing, and when you look at your calendar, or your phone blinks and goes, hey, you got this thing happening, it's a thing, and it's a lot harder for you to then just not show up to and not turn down, because now you've got this guilt complex that you've kind of pushed onto yourself, and then you just do it, and it's that easy. You just do it, and then you just go. Seriously, it's that easy, and it's not that easy. I say it's that easy because it is, and at the same time, like we all just agreed, it's really hard to put pants on and go outside, but you have to. And the more you do it, and the more you say, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start trying to do this, And the more you get used to it, and the more you have events in your calendar, the easier it becomes to just go do this thing you have to do. Because you're going to have a lot of success in a lot of places with a lot of people. You're going to come back with a lot of good stories. You're going to make a lot of new friends. And that's because, like I said, statistically, that's how it works. The more places you show up to, the greater your chances of being in the right place at the right time. That's simple statistical math. Like you can't argue with this. Because it's not going to happen inside your house. It's going to happen wherever you are. And it's not, you might get that job in InfoSec because you met a guy at a boring wedding that you didn't even want to go to for someone you barely know. But he ended up sitting at your table, and you guys really hit it off. And that was really cool, and you exchanged numbers, you started talking later, and he goes, yeah, we've been looking for people, but we don't know anybody in the area. Yeah, it really happens like that. I'm sure most, if not every one of you, have a story like that, where you were just in the right place at the right time. And you write it off as serendipity, and it is. But it's because you were in that place. And if you weren't in that place, it wouldn't have happened. And it is work. You do have to make yourself get up at first. And this whole concept of then being there and talking to people that you don't know and meeting new people it is a skill. It's something we're not used to anymore. It's something we just don't do much anymore. Especially, I see a lot of younger people in this crowd, and that's really cool. I'm glad you're coming to these conferences and not, like, Dragon Con. I also see a lot of old guys who've definitely been going to Dragon Con, and I recognize at least one of you, and I'm not looking at you. And you just have to do it. And sometimes you're going to have a bad run. You're going to go and you're going to have that boring wedding and you're going to cut out at 10:30 or whatever. And that's fine. But every now and then, 20% of the time, which yes, is only every now and then, you're going to have something click. Something cool is going to happen. Something's going to work. You're going to get a stepping stone for something else. And that something else might not be InfoSec job. That something else might be another event that's happening with some more people who are like-minded that it'd be cool to hang out with and meet and maybe see where that goes. And it's another event that you can put in your calendar. That's success. That's something. That's getting somewhere. You may not know where it's getting. Oftentimes you'll never know where it's getting. But it's definitely something. And for those times when it's not working, or you got some idiot talking to you that you don't want to talk to, or some guy who's got some hard opinions on some stuff that you don't like, or some guy whose facts are just wrong. Don't burn that bridge. Don't shut that guy down. The book, the How to Win Friends and Influence People, talks a lot about that. How to correct people without irritating them. How to take care of problematic situations, angry people, opinionated people. It's excellent for that. I cannot tell you how many times I've had a situation where someone who I didn't have a high regard for, someone who I didn't like very much, someone who I would rather not have ever talked to ever again, has ended up being my hookup for something or other, who ended up being, or really actually liking something that I like too. We had a lot in common in some realm that we just never got to because we didn't click really well. And so just watch out for that. I can't stress that one enough. Don't burn your bridges. Don't irritate people. Don't blow people off. If you don't like them, if you're not clicking, just be polite. Make an excuse to get out of it. My favorite is say, I'm going to use the restroom real quick, because that's one of those universal things that everybody always immediately accepts and doesn't fight you on. Like, you never been like, hey, I'm going to use the restroom real quick, and have someone go like, all right, well, hang on 1 minute. Let's finish this up. It's just a social thing. We all know, like, oh man, when you gotta go, and we all accept that. So write that one down. If you're just done talking to somebody and they're not letting up, just go, hey man, I'm using the restroom real quick. And they go, all right, cool, yeah. And then you go use the restroom and then maybe hang out in there for 2 minutes, come out in a different direction, go talk to someone else. Works in situations like this where everyone's mingling and things like that, and you just gotta get out. So once you've actually started showing up and you're there, what do you do? like I said, just showing up, just being in that chair and just having your face there, you've greatly increased your chances of success beyond sitting at home in a chair where people aren't. Sitting in that chair, at least someone might come up and talk to you. Like, your chances of that happening have increased literally infinitely more from the 0 that it would happen at your house, unless there's a burglar and you don't really want to talk to that guy. That conversation goes south really quick. Like, I've tried. I do not know how to save that specific situation. So you have to work the room. And again, I know we all have social anxiety. I have social anxiety. I hate this, that first step, that working the room, that I show up and I don't know anybody. And I go, for a while. and it's that hardest first step. But then once you actually get in there and start working that room, it gets easier. And then it gets easier every consequential time you go to a new event and start working that room. And what working the room is, it's you put your phone away, put it in a pocket, put it in your bag, leave it in your coat, put it away, out of your hand, preferably off. Don't leave the vibration on because that vibration is incredibly distracting. And as soon as your phone vibrates, you're going to just grab it and look. And we do this instinctively, and I see it all the time. And how many times have you looked at your phone and gone, okay, sorry about that, go on. That's rude. Even though you said, I'm sorry. And 90% of the time, that's some dumb crap that didn't matter anyway, or could have waited 5 minutes. Turn your phone off. Leave it somewhere where it's not going to bother you. Or if you feel it buzzing, just leave it. Just wait. It's fine. If it's an emergency, they'll call the police. Everything's okay. Or they'll leave a message. You'll check it in a minute. Put your laptop away. That's a big thing for us. I see that at a lot of meetups and networking events, like people have their laptops out. Ben?
I was live tweeting.
Yeah. You're also putting your laptop away, and I appreciate that. I know in here you guys are taking notes, and I really, like the guys who are in here taking notes, you're doing it right. This is why we're here. I used to do really sparse slides with like no words on them, and people get really irritated and go, man, what's up with your slides? I used to do no slides. I hate slides. And they'd get mad, and I go, why is it not there? I was looking for your slide deck. Where's your slide deck? And I go, there's not really information in the slide deck. It's all in the talk. And they go, well, I want to review it later. If you can't take some notes, like if you're at this age and you don't know how to like take notes when you're going to a talk to learn things, like that's why you're here, maybe this field isn't right for you. If like when you go to a meeting at work, do you not take notes? If the meeting calls for it. That's why you're here. You're here to learn things. You should have your notebooks out. And I understand a lot of us use our laptops to take notes, and that's cool. I do see a lot of you taking notes, and that's really cool. So thumbs up to you guys who are doing it. You're doing it right. But you're not going to be doing that, say, in a bar meetup scene where you're just hanging out and literally just mingling. So put that laptop away. Put your Google Glass away. I don't see any in the room. Anyone wearing a Google Glass? We hate that. Flip that Google Glass up. Really put it away, because we all feel like we're being videotaped and somebody's staring us down a Google Glass in our face. Even when that light's not on. Isn't that the most like disconcerting thing when somebody's just got a Google Glass like 3 feet from your face? Put that away. Get up. Walk around. Even if you just stop there. The getting up and walking around has, again, dramatically increased your chances of someone bumping into you, saying, oh, hi, and a conversation starting. You're much more approachable when you're up, walking around, your arms are open. This is body language. Rather than you're sitting in a chair, you know, like this one, arms folded, looking around. You do that long enough, you get creepy. No one's going to want to talk to you. Like, I don't know, man, that guy's been there for an hour and he's just looking around. I don't want to talk to that guy. Those are the guys that wake you up like, hey, you like InfoSec? Don't be that guy. While you're walking around, have a positive demeanor about you. And the way I've found that works really best is find your happy place. Like Peter Pan, remember, find your happy place? No. Your happy place is just some memory you have or something you have inside your head that whenever you remember that, you always just get that little smirk. You just you get that little chuckle. Know what that place is. Have that ready. And then get up and walk around and find that place and just have it in your head and go and walk around. Isn't this way better than this guy? Like I'd rather talk to this guy. So that's a great one. I'll try and push through this for you. It's really hard to talk to someone one-on-one. So what I recommend, especially if you're starting out, find the largest group of people. Go hang out with them. It's really easy to get into a large group of people. And so do that. Get in with them. Don't just start talking about what they're talking about in nowhere. That's really creepy. If there's a lull in the conversation, if everybody stops talking and everybody's kind of looking around, then jump in. Add a personal experience. Tell a little story about, hey, yeah, one time that's related to the topic. One time when I was doing this or that, this happened, and fill it in with that. People love stories about failure in particular because it makes them feel better. For one reason or another, it's super true. And don't always make everything about failure and terrible things. Have a good story where things worked out in the end. But like if you're really trying to win someone over, like a story about failure that's appropriate to the topic always works every time. And match the energy of the group. Don't come in and be super energetic when the rest of the group is not, because that's super creepy. And don't be like super mopey when the rest of the group's really excited. Don't be super quiet. At least just match the body positioning and the eye openness and the energy of what's going on. And you're going to get accepted into that group real quick. And then when you come back later or the group breaks up and you're mingling around, they'll remember you. You know some guys from before. You know some girls from before. Hey, it's cool. What have you been doing at the con? I haven't seen you in a while. You're making some friends. You're building out these experiences. And so that's all this is really good first steps to really help you kind of get out and into the scene, off your couch, and actually taking advantage of situations that you're creating for yourself to really start helping you build that social circle that's going to help you in all sorts of ways, not just getting a job, but just making your life more full and more successful in pretty much every way possible. So that's all the time I got for today. Thank you guys for coming in. I hope it was useful. I saw a lot of guys taking notes. It's really cool. Again, my name is Johnny Xmas. Find me on Twitter, etc. Talk to you guys later.
I got to meet Johnny besides Iceland. I was the keynote, and I'm like, this is awesome. I'm going to be the only American there. I walk in, and there's this dude sitting down there speaking in English. And then he goes, where are you from? I'm like, St. Louis. He's like, who do you know? We all know the same people. How do we not know each other? So if you want to have a good time, make sure to follow Johnny on Twitter. He entertaining, very smart, knows what he's doing. So again, everybody, round of applause for Johnny.